welcome. Thank you for sharing some of your day with us today at Sunnyside Nursery. My name is Holly Shippers. I'm the seasonal manager, and to my right,
I'm Sarah Christopherson. I am in the seasonal department with Holly, and I'm the container designer.
today we're going to talk about growing cool weather veggies. Cool weather veggies benefit most from cool weather. Things like cabbage, Brussels sprouts. It brings out the sugars and the starches and makes them taste really good. Things like things like lettuce, you don't want to have go through the heat, so you don't want that as a warm weather. A lot of them will turn bitter from the heat.
Peas will start to turn yellow and get kind of tough. So yeah, this is the prime time to start growing these cool weather guys.
Veggies consist of annuals, biennials, and perennials. Annuals will give you a harvest that season. Biennials will give you a harvest that season, and the second season will give you seeds for your future crop. And perennials will come back every year.
And your handouts have lists of those different categories and the plants that are in them as well.
Choosing your site. Where do you want to grow your vegetables? Keep in mind with cool weather, they can take a little bit more shade than an afternoon sunny area. Again, that helps keep them cool.
If you have a really nice hot sunny area, maybe save that for your warm weather crops, your peppers, your tomatoes, squashes. One of the things I like to talk about is planting these guys maybe where you have a deciduous tree that doesn't really have leaves on it yet, and it's getting plenty of this kind of light now, and then as it gets warmer and sunnier, it's going to be more shaded by the leaves coming in on those trees. Or alternately, having something that is going to grow big like a broccoli or a cauliflower, potentially a kale or trellised peas, something that's going to grow up to shade it as it gets warmer and sunnier. And then plant your things like your lettuce that are going to stay more tender if they're more shaded in the afternoon, where they're going to be shaded by those plants as they grow up.
Make sure as you're choosing your site, you've got a water source close by. You don't want to realize, oh, got the hoses around the house, now I got to take a bucket over it. You want to make sure you've got it in an area where you can easily water. And then you need to decide, are you going to plant in the ground, containers, or raised beds? That can also determine where you plant in your in your yard. I planted in my driveway for quite a while in containers, and now I'm in the back 40 in containers where the sun is different, so it depends on what I'm growing and where I have to put it. My lettuce and everything has to go on the other side of the greenhouse where the greenhouse shades it. So you can grow in containers. If you have an area that works best, do it in a container.
And you want to have a container that's big enough that it's going to have a decent amount of soil for them really to get their roots in. They're not going to be, especially as it gets warm, drying out, because that's going to give you tough, bitter vegetables. But if you have a container that is movable, then you could have it in more sun now and then move it to a more shaded spot later. So it does make your garden more mobile, and you can customize that way as the season goes on.
So when you've decided if you're going to do containers, ground, raised bed, then you want to think about what you need to amend or use as soil. So for a container, you can do Earth first. I always say it backwards. This is new to us, and we really love this. It's called Earth First.
Yeah, it's like the Edna's potting soil that E.B. Stone has had for a long time in the yellow bag that I know many of you have used. This one has cocoa coir, which is a byproduct, an industry byproduct, instead of the peat moss, which they have to harvest from ecosystems. So I love it. It doesn't. Yeah. If it dries out, it doesn't get that real hard-packed hydrophobic.
We worked for years to get this in, and we were so happy when we got it in. We were so happy.
I've switched to all the containers that we plant here. I've switched to that because I just love it. I love to go peat-free, and I'm really impressed with this product. We tried other peat-free products that we did not like.
So this would be if you're in containers. 420 is also. They also have a product called Ultimate. They're identical. They just do repackaging. 420 was developed for pot growing, which is a good thing because it has a lot of beneficial microbes and everything in it.
It's a potting soil that's been even more souped up.
It's souped
and
up.
when you're growing veggies and stuff, they like all the nutrients and stuff.
So those would be for container growing. Over here we've got compost. Compost would be for in the ground to amend the soil, or soil booster. Again, in the ground to amend that and add nutrients.
Compost is going to add a lot more organic matter. So if you have soil that doesn't have a lot of organic matter, that's a good way to go. You can mix it in before planting, while planting. You can also top dress with that as a mulch, and knowing that it's going to break down and feed your soil to then feed your plants.
And then raised bed. That could be containers or raised bed.
What are the difference in the cost between those two?
I don't know how much they cost.
Okay.
We aren't great with having numbers in our heads.
I think of numbers if I know them in advance.
But out by the store, we have what we call the soil wall right by the entrance.
And the prices are
And that
all
has
there.
all the prices
Yeah.
there. Some of them are buy so many, get one. So.
So I'm close enough that I can actually read the extra ingredients
Uh-huh.
in the soil booster,
Uh-huh.
and it's the most super one.
Yes, but you don't
Yeah.
want to plant anything in that, just
Direct.
that. It
Yeah,
has
that is
to
an
be mixed
amendment.
in.
It's an
Yes.
amendment.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah.
whatever you plant is not going to grow. It needs to be added to the soil. Yes.
What's the difference between the raised bed and the potting?
The raised bed has mycorrhizae in it, which is beneficial. Huh? No, they don't. Microbes, but not mycorrhizae. So it's beneficial roots, or fungi. I'm sorry, fungi that will benefit the roots. It will help the roots
So
grow.
the
strong.
raised bed is actually a combination between Edna's Best potting soil and the compost. It's those two mixed together.
Yes.
I've been using the compost in my raised beds, mixing it with my soil.
That's fine as long as
Mixing
it's
it is
not
fine.
used it by itself.
Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
You can also use compost as a top dressing.
Okay.
Yes.
I got a load of alpaca food from a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
How do you incorporate that?
You want to make sure it ages first. Don't put it in hot.
It's not hot.
It's not hot.
Oh, it's not hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you can
Oh,
can top
hot,
dress
isn't
with it when it comes out. No, you can top dress with it. You can mix it into your soil. If you compost, you can put it in your compost, and it helps get the compost going. But yeah, it's not hot like a fresh chicken manure or something
steer,
would be.
yeah.
You can top dress or mix in right into your garden.
But
Yeah,
don't put it in
proportions,
exclusively
just a general
in
idea.
I don't,
llama food, because then it will kill.
Yeah.
Can
Just
you
keep.
can you over compost or over add to it if it's
You
not
can
hot?
if it ends up being a high percentage of just that. You still want to have all your soil and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's more considered an amendment to add like the nutrients and stuff to it.
Chicken poop, can you address when and how?
Chicken has to be aged
It's
How
hot.
long?
months.
Months. My grandparents would bring in a pile every season for their veggies, and it would sit there for about 2 months, and the neighbors just loved it.
That's an excellent one if you do a compost pile, because chicken waste is very high in nitrogen and will get everything going in your compost pile, especially if you're adding a lot of like brown and dried stuff. That chicken manure will really get things going. So that's a good way to use it. Or if you have chickens and maybe you use bedding like wood shavings or straw or something, you're already adding your browns in with the green, so that can compost together. But I would look online for an actual how long, but I'm just gonna pull out of my head 3 to 6 months. That might be depending on the season, but I would check that, because I'm just grabbing something that I don't know.
For aged chicken manure, when would you add that?
After that, the time period
No,
that.
but I mean,
Yeah.
could you use it instead of the booster, or instead?
Well, actually, all of these have chicken manure in them, as well as worm castings.
But yes, it's going to add a lot of different nutrients and stuff. It's not something like the soil booster. You know exactly what you're adding and how much. Chicken manure.
Could you do this chicken manure with the soil instead of the booster?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not really bad soil.
And then these two, the soil booster and the compost, have what is the word? Oh, seabird and alfalfa. Seabird feathers and alfalfa in them, and that is a protein that helps break down the organic matter faster.
Back guano too.
Is there a
Yeah,
way?
they've got back guano. So that's why I said chicken manure.
Lots of
and,
poops.
Yeah. They do lots of poop.
Is there an easy way to test your soil to see?
There are
what-
soil testers kits.
Although there are several places online where you can get a tester kit and send it in, and they really are fairly affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll ask you what you're wanting to do with that space, and tell you what you need to do to make the soil best for what you're trying to do with
There
it.
used to be
So
an
I do recommend that, like, especially if you own your property, get that soil testing done, because then you know what you're working with.
There used to be an extension at the Macomb Park, and I don't know if it's still there or not, that you could take a sample
it's still
to.
there.
Is it still there? Yeah.
I have a question on soil testing. How many areas within your garden do you need to do that? I mean, I've got raised beds here, there, everywhere, and in soil planting. So, do I have to test like every 50 feet?
It can be variable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would test the places where you plan on doing extensive gardening. But like I said, like it's been a while since I got onto one of the websites and read about, but they have their recommendations of how far apart you should take your samples and how many. So I would go online and look at maybe a couple different sites so you can kind of get a feel for what each one of them is requesting, and go from there.
And along with your soils, you want to add your amendments. I always add azomite to everything, whether it's an edible or a tree, shrub, perennial, whatever. It's trace minerals that helps your plant draw up and store nutrients. Very important.
And for edibles, if they're storing nutrients, then they're there for you to eat.
It also enhances the flavor of all edibles. Agricultural lime, that's going to help add your calcium and your magnesium. Calcium is going to create good, strong, healthy plant cells that will help fight disease. Magnesium's for the chlorophyll, the foliage. Then there's just the good old-fashioned fertilizer. That gives you all the other stuff you need. There's also a water-soluble one for veggies. That's from Espoma. So it's whether you want dry or one that's water soluble.
I use both.
I use whatever I've got.
I use the granular, the purple, the tomato veggie fertilizer. I do that at planting. I tend to just do that at planting, so then I'll go through the season when my plants need a little boost, maybe every couple weeks, and do the water soluble. Water soluble is broken down to a point where it's available to your plants right away. The granular is going to be slowly breaking down over the season, which great to have that in there because we're not usually watering as much this time of year because we have the rain, and a lot of those nutrients are going to be flushed through a bit as it rains. If you have the granular breaking down in there, you're going to always have some available to the plants, and then using your liquid to give them an extra boost that they can use right then.
Yes.
I heard somebody talking. Backing up a little bit, my daughter was concerned about me planting some plants within like 100 feet of a road. You know, we have a street that goes
The
by.
concern basically for that is all the exhaust and the tire particles
Well,
that
and
come
even
off.
stuff that runs into the, if you're downhill or something.
There's always going to be issues of that. Leaky vehicles that will eventually run off into the
Yeah,
soil.
generally they're not putting things on the roads anymore that are real detrimental, but cars.
Cars will. Yeah.
So, like 20 yards might be okay or something? I don't know.
I don't know your street. I don't know
Yeah.
how many leaky
I think
vehicles.
what I would do
Yeah.
is plant non-edibles in between.
Yeah.
So you've got that barrier of things that
Yeah.
can kind of help filter some
Yeah.
of that stuff out of the soil and keep things from just running
Right, okay.
that aren't things that you're
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So are all the things over there not in like the boosters and the compost soil that you have over here? Is that something?
So
you
basically,
also have?
the soils and the amendments are a little bit more general. So they're going to give you a really good base, and then the fertilizers help you customize it to what you're planting.
So you're basically having the starters in these. They'll help you get started, but you have to continue with them throughout the growing cycle.
And especially in a container or a small space, they're going to be using nutrients. And then you're harvesting and taking them away. So you need to put something back in the soil.
Is that lime different than the light green lime that we use on the
Yes.
And with the lime, my understanding is that it does take a little while to break down and raise the pH of the soil, so you want to do that sooner.
You
rather
do
than
need
later.
to be careful with lime. You can over lime.
So read the package.
Yeah, you don't just cast it out. You've got to really work on the measuring and the space size. Containers, it's really hard to use lime in containers because it's such a small space. You can easily over lime, and then your plants will not be happy.
Well, and especially if you're putting fresh soil in, you're kind of controlling the conditions in that point, and these soils are not going to be super acidic. It's a little bit more our native soil, and our water, of course, is acidic because of where we are in the country. And when you're in a rainier area, you tend to have more acidic soil. So the lime is going to raise the pH closer to a neutral, which a lot of these guys really like. But you don't have to use it all the time, isn't that like if you're doing it in ground or a raised bed that you don't change out the soil? Isn't it more of an every other year kind of a thing?
Oh no, you don't do it every year. It can last for years. Yeah, and don't do it if you're doing potatoes. Potatoes do not like lime. They will not be happy.
Any other questions on the soils and stuff, that base?
Okay, let's talk about spacing. Most things, whether it's starts or seeds, will have instructions. Seeds will tell you how to space them. These will tell you how big the plants will get. So read the labels, and that will help you do. Then you have to do math.
It's really easy to overcrowd when you've got little tiny babies because you're looking at little babies with big space in between, but
there's a few exceptions.
Our hope is they're going to grow.
There's a few exceptions. I always overcrowded my lettuce because I was constantly using it.
Yeah, I don't harvest ahead of lettuce. I pick off all the bigger leaves and let the little ones grow.
Yeah.
So then you've always got a more narrow plant and you can pack them in a little bit better, especially if you're then supplementing with feeding because there's going to be a lot of roots in the ground. But so you can crowd a little bit more than things say, especially if you're harvesting constantly. And then of course layering helps that too. If you do tall plants with shorter plants, then they're not as much crowding each other out because they're at different levels.
You want to talk about intercropping?
Sure. I love talking about intercropping.
Question on seeds. What's your experience with using seeds, leftover seeds from last year?
They're great. Seeds can go for years.
Okay.
And
And it does depend on how you've stored them. If you've got them in the house in like a fairly controlled environment, they can last for quite a while. If they're getting real hot somewhere and then real cold somewhere, that might there might be a little bit less germination as they get older.
If you ever watched, what is it, Mad Max Fury Road? I'm 63. I've watched them all. There's this group of elderly women that they are the keeper of the seeds because there's been this whole there's nothing alive, it's all desert, and they on their dirt bikes riding around and they have to find a place to plant their seeds. So these seeds are years and years old. I love that part.
And that is there are people with seed collections and
Are there
seed banks.
Just one other question. Are there any vegetables that don't do well? Like you'd say, I wouldn't even try them.
From seed?
From seed?
Well, I do have a little list in the handout of things that start easily and quickly from seed.
It's on the handout.
No, I meant old seeds. Like
Oh,
I
old
wouldn't
seeds?
try broccoli because they typically don't work.
Well, pretty much anything that's going to give you a seed, it's going to have some lifespan to it.
Yeah.
That's the whole
I would have
purpose is
to
to keep that
get online
that
and do
alive.
some research to see. Like I have read about that before, but I haven't really retained it.
Saving seeds from previous, saving the actual seeds. I've read that most of the packaged seeds are made from hybrids and things that aren't.
If you see something that's an F1 hybrid, like
F1,
this will say it on the tag, F1 hybrid. If you save seeds from an F1 hybrid, you're going to get something similar to probably one of the parent plants.
Yeah, it won't.
You're
be
not
the
going to
same
get the
thing.
same variety. If it's an heirloom, then that's going to be stable and you're going to get the same thing from it as long as it was fertilized by the same kind of plant. If you have 50 different kinds of tomatoes all next to each other. Now I'm switching to tomatoes, but
We're not on that yet.
something flowering, you're probably going to get a cross. But if you have a group of plants that's all the same kind and they're an heirloom, you're likely going to get seeds that are going to grow the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just don't recall ever seeing packaged heirloom seeds in the store.
You will. Yeah, if you start looking at the packages, generally if they're heirloom, it'll say heirloom on it.
Yeah.
If
That's
it's not
very
heirloom,
important.
somewhere on there it'll probably say it's a hybrid.
What
If it's an
about
heirloom, they're going to put it on it.
seeds from seed catalogs and whatnot? What's your
You'd have to
experience?
see. It depends on that catalog.
They'll
and
label
what they,
them.
yeah.
They label them.
Yeah. They have to label them.
Because heirloom is not going to say hybrid,
No.
and hybrid is not going to say heirloom.
Yeah.
Are you going to go over, is this a good time to sow seeds outside right now?
Somewhat, and it depends on the seeds.
It depends on what it is, and the ground needs to be a certain temperature.
Yeah, and your seed packets, well, some of your seed packets say what temperature they like
Yeah.
to germinate at. Honestly, I like to go to Johnny's Seeds online because they're more geared toward production, and they have, it's all cut flowers and vegetables, so this is right up my alley because I'm a cut flower gal. But the veggies, I'll go on there and look up beans and go, okay, what temperature do they like to germinate? They'll have a little graph on their page. Well, they prefer to germinate at like when the soil's 60 degrees. Or the soil right now, and you can go online to find this for your area. The soil right now is about 40. So they might sit and wait,
I was gonna say
and they might rot.
Yeah.
But I prefer to wait until we're getting a little closer, like 50 to 60 in the
Yeah.
soil, and then I know that they're going to germinate pretty quickly and be up and going.
I knew they were a cool plant, but I wasn't sure how.
Yeah, beans are kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So are carrots. You know, they like a little bit warmer, but not the same as like tomatoes and peppers. So they're kind of a mid-season. But things like, and we did grab some packets because like one of the things I love to start from seed are radishes because they start easily, they grow fast, super fun to do with kids because there's kind of almost an instant gratification. I'm a big kid, so I love it. Personally, I love this Easter egg blend of radishes because you get different colors and it's fun. As we discussed earlier, I don't eat them, but
She hates them, but she likes to grow
I like
them.
to grow them.
What would you advise if you're going to start with seeds in as far as your soil?
For in your soil.
Well, what would you use
It's for
to
seed
put a
starting?
seed? Yes.
It depends on what it is. Something like a radish, they have big seeds.
Oh.
They do well just going right out in the garden. If you're doing something like broccoli or kale or something, and you want to start them now, I would get them started inside in
Right.
seed trays with grow lights,
Yeah.
light fan, the
What
works,
kind of
so you can
soil?
get them going. Seed starting mix. If you're doing it inside, seed starting mix,
Okay.
which is generally just peat perlite. I've been experimenting with a mix of cocoa corn perlite with some worm castings in it, and I've been liking that.
I've done it just in potting soil too.
For me, it depends on what it is. Like some of the teeny tiny ones, I have struggled with potting soil because it's too heavy.
Yeah, yeah,
And like if you're using potting soil, I'd sift out some of the bigger chunks because it's going to have fluid and stuff in it. Some seedlings are very robust, and some are kind of little more wimpy guys and need an easy time. So it just and the part of that's just experience, trying growing different things and seeing how they do. But if you're seed starting inside, and you're welcome to come talk to me about it later. I've done a lot of seed starting, but
we like to play around.
having you know the cells with the dome for some humidity, and then as an actual proper grow light, and then once they sprout, having a very gentle fan on them so they grow up strong and with strong stems is all important. Super fun and gratifying. So, but I can help you know what to use to be successful with that. We've talked about maybe at some point doing a class on seed starting, so we might consider that for next year.
Yeah, that would be a nice change.
Yeah, something different.
Intercropping.
Intercropping, that's why we're intercropping. Basically, okay, so one of the things in the handout is I grouped all of the vegetables with their relatives. You're going to see brassica is a big one this time of year. So that's going to be your broccoli, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, radishes, I believe.
Radishes, yeah. Your favorite.
Nasturtiums, like all sorts of weird things are actually basically the same plant. So, which means the same pests and diseases go after them. So, my recommendation.
And what is brassica Latin for?
What?
Cabbage.
Oh, it's the cabbage family.
Yes.
Okay. So
I had to throw some histories.
we have all been trained to plant things in neat, tidy rows, all one crop. That's the worst way to plant.
Nope.
That is the worst way to grow because you get a pest or a disease in there and it's going through all of it. Because that's what they like. And that's what they're looking for is a big crap to feed themselves and their babies, depending on the pest. No, I did not. We already talked about poop. Crop. So, I'm in a very small yard. I do a little bit in ground. I do some in containers. I interplant all these things in with my ornamentals. Like, I don't have a vegetable garden. But if you have a vegetable garden or a food forest or whatever it is you're wanting to do, just put little small groups of the same plant together with something that's unrelated. So if I'm putting in a few of my kale, I'm not going to put cabbage with it because they're related. They're going to have the same pests. I might put some lettuce underneath. These are going to grow up tall, shade out your lettuce as it gets warmer. They work really, really well together. I'm not going to put a big patch of just lettuce either. I'm going to put my lettuce in with my kale and with my peas or my beans, both being legumes. Peas and beans and other legumes will take nitrogen out of the air and make it available for plants. And they both excrete it from their roots so that other plants can use it.
They share.
Leafy greens love nitrogen. And then eventually they'll make little nodules of nitrogen. They're like basically little nitrogen bombs. So I encourage you, when you're taking out your pea plants or your bean plants at the end of the season, just cut them off at the base and leave the roots to decompose because they're going to add a bunch of nitrogen. You can do that with anything, unless it's like really diseased or has like, you know that there's some sort of pest that got into the root system. Other than that, I just chop them off at the base because all of that is organic matter and it's going to add good stuff back to the soil and leave the fungal network intact for you to plant something right again next to it. So we tend to want to clean up everything. If you leave it a little messy, it's actually going to be better. If you're leaving some leaf litter on the ground, that's going to feed your soil. That's going to leave space for your beneficial critters. So try not to be too tidy. It's hard for some of us, not me. I'm not a tidy person, but for some of us.
Just remember when you're doing things like that, you want to do crop rotation with each year.
Especially if you have a pest or disease issue on something.
So
put it in a different place.
Crop rotation means you're not planting in the same spot with the same plant. You're putting it somewhere else,
and some of us are limited. Some of us have very small patches of sun. I do my tomatoes in the same spot every year, but I also amend every year for sure because I know that tomatoes depleted whatever they like in that spot last year.
So the groupings that you're talking about, is that the groupings in here?
Yes, the first one's like page 5. Page 5 has the groupings of related plants, and then page 6 has kind of like what's an annual, biennial, that kind of stuff. So the groupings on page 5 show you what's related. Don't plant the related stuff right in a group together. Mix between the groups.
What I'm talking about, is there something that says what you just were saying about what should be planted together?
Are you talking about taking things from different groups to plant together?
Okay.
You will hear, and again I'm jumping to a different group. You will always hear, oh, tomatoes and basil grow great together. Sure they do. A lot of things grow great together. It doesn't mean you have to have tomato and basil together. They're unrelated. They don't fight with each other. They use different nutrients. They grow in the same conditions. Great. But the big part is they're unrelated. They're not taking the same stuff. So if you're planting things that are not related, you're going to be far ahead of the game. And it makes it much easier to just think that way instead of having to hunt down like, oh, I have to put this plant with this plant. You know, just make sure they're not related. They're going to have different issues and hopefully not share those issues. They're going to take different nutrients out of the soil. They're going to share different nutrients through their roots and their fungal network. And they're just going to be healthier, more robust plants generally.
I tried companion planting last year, and they said the Three Sisters, the beans, corn, and squash, it was a nightmare. It was a disaster. I don't know what. I mean, the beans were supposed to climb up the corn, but the corn wasn't growing.
Yeah, you have to plant the corn early enough to make it have enough stalk before your beans are
Okay.
coming up. And
Yeah.
yes, I've tried that with mixed success a couple times. I might try it again when I have more space. But I've more taken to just mixing different things in. Like if I plant a few rows of corn, again, we're getting kind of to a mid-season, and we do get packs of already sprouted corn. You can just plant with your corn kernels, but I'll plant things that like to be kind of shaded in amongst them, just to have something different. You know, and that can even be like parsley or celery or something.
You can add some herbs, easily add herbs, yeah.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't have to be one thing
And
put
with-
in with
with
your corn. You can put all sorts of things along the edges.
With companion planting too, add some flowers. We call them sacrificial flowers. Nasturtiums,
Scrap
marigolds.
So the thing is with our nasturtiums and why we love them because they're cute and they're pretty.
But aphids love them too.
Yeah. So these being brassicas, the especially aphids, but a lot the things that like the brassicas also like these, and they love these.
Oh,
so I
do
would
they
rather
love
have the aphids on the back of my nasturtium leaves
than on the veggies.
And then when you have a crop of aphids, that's what brings your insects that eat the aphids. Everybody wants to have ladybugs come into their garden and eat their aphids, but if you don't have aphids, they don't care about your garden.
Yeah, they're not going to bother
So
your garden.
you need to have flowers to bring them in, and you need to have some crops of aphids for them to lay their eggs so their babies can eat the aphids, or they're not going to stay in your yard.
And they will be so covered, it's disgusting, but it's so good.
And the fun thing with nasturtium too is they have really big seeds, and you can go poke some in anytime during the season and have fresh ones growing. Yep. This one gets covered and looks sickly.
Yeah,
take it out, have new ones coming. You know, plus they get those pretty flowers that are edible. Yeah.
Are there some plants like basil or whatever that are smelly that keep away?
Any herbs, but they're not going to keep everything away.
You know, like rosemary, mint, lavender. Yeah.
And now, for the most part, the insects don't like those plants. If you want the oils in the air to deter things, you have to be out there scrunching and releasing the oils. So that's another thing we talk about. Like in our department, we usually make a display of natural insect repellent plants. But that's the case if you have them around your patio where you're going to hang out. Go and scrunch your plants and release the oils when you're going to hang out there. Otherwise, it's not just in the air.
It also helps if you have dogs that get in there and.
If they trample your herbs, you're good.
I remember that chives, or there's one that isn't good to have around. Is it chives? I don't know. Maybe even something else.
To have around veggies, you
other
mean?
Plants. You know, chives.
Well, there's kind of a myth that things will start tasting like onion or something, but that's
people
more
will
of a-
say, oh, if you use fish fertilizer on your lettuce is going to say tastes like fish. It doesn't. It's only taking the nutrients at once. It's not taking the whole fish and putting it in its leaf. So that doesn't happen. And that is something we are going to talk about. We forgot to bring onions, but we do have garlic related, all in the onion family. Smelly, grow up skinny. So I'll stick them in between all my plants.
Yeah.
I don't do a crop of garlic. I put them all through my garden because they're going to grow up skinny and help protect some of these other things. Sometimes, like if you have rabbits or deer, it may not deter them, but it might to have onion family in there smelly herbs. They don't like
to
them.
use all the space I can to grow things. So I've always poking things in where there's space.
Yeah, if you've got something like a garlic or an onion that grows up skinny, and then you've got fluffy leafy things, they can grow together and take up less space and benefit each other. The little intercropping thing making sense?
So since we're talking about bugs, let's cover a couple things that are for organic gardening. This is Captain Jack's dead bug. This can take care of a lot of your issues for vegetables, trees, shrubs, anything.
If you remember that if you have things that you consider sacrificial, don't spray them. We want the bugs on them.
This is just a safer soap or a super soap. Super soap. typically aphids, whitefly, things like that.
And all those things you want to coat the aphids.
You don't
or
ever
whatever
want to
insects
spray
you're
when
going
there's
after.
flowers on anything. It doesn't matter what you're spraying. If there's flowers, you're not spraying.
Or fully cover it and just spray the leaves.
Neem is one thing that I make sure I always have. It covers a lot of issues.
Insects and fungal issues.
Yeah.
But with any of those, they're coating the insect and suffocating the insect. So you spray heavily.
So why do you want to do seeds or starts? Well, you get about 2 or 3 weeks advantage on using the starts than the seeds. So it's entirely up to you on that.
And these being grown in more of a controlled environment, they're what you could duplicate maybe in your house with all the equipment. But if you don't want to go through all that, just get the starts and not deal with all the equipment, and then do your seeds and things that are easier to start and grow out in your cool garden. Mention the radishes. Beets are pretty good
For
that way
something
too.
you don't like, you talk about them all.
They're fun. They're fun. I love to grow carrots. Carrots also want to be a little bit warmer. But the trick with carrots that I learned and have good success with is to sprinkle them on your soil surface, moisten it lightly. You don't want to wash them away, but you want it to be nice and moist. Kind of pat them in so they're touching the soil, and then put a board over the top. And that is going to keep it dark and keep them in contact with the soil and keep it moist.
It takes about 2 weeks, and then you just look.
When you see them sprouting, then you take your board off and make sure they don't dry out until they're well
You
rooted
want
in there.
the board right on it?
Yep.
You'll be
Are you
more
talking
successful that
cardboard?
way.
A board.
Wood.
Cardboard is just gonna like sog down and
Yeah.
smother it.
Yeah.
I'm talking just a piece of wood,
Yeah.
probably untreated, laid
Yeah.
on there. Scrap piece of wood,
Yep.
doesn't matter.
How far down do you plant them?
You
Surface.
Just
Surf-
sprinkle
just
and
surface.
pat it down. Yeah.
And you said 2 weeks.
It depends.
Roughly.
It's gonna depend on the
Roughly.
temperature.
Yeah.
If it's sunny, it's gonna warm the soil and
Yeah.
the board, and they're gonna
You
germinate
just
faster.
peek out under once in a while.
So it's always a range because it depends on the conditions.
Yes.
Do you water them? I've done that before, but I always take the board off and water them. Do you
If it's dry,
You need to
Now-
make sure the soil has some moisture to it.
yeah, and it needs to have moisture, but it doesn't need to be soggy. You're not trying to drown them. And if it's just a little surface that's dry, use a little mist bottle. Like it doesn't take soaking it with a hose and washing them down the road. You can be gentle with them until they get their roots in the soil. But carrots I find very, very satisfying to grow. And also I grabbed little finger because there are a lot of people think you need to have
Yes,
this
if
much
you're
fluffy
growing
soil to grow your carrots. But you can grow short carrots in something like this. Have your nice sweet homegrown carrots and not have to have 2 feet of soil to grow them and just do shorter carrots. There's also these great color blends where you get some reds and purples that have good antioxidants in them. And I like the colorful stuff. I'm sure you do.
Yes, question.
I don't really like radishes, but I like jicama. Can we grow that?
Jicama? I don't think that grows well here. I think it's too wet for here.
Yeah, it sounds Spanish.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
How about inside?
You could try, but remember, anything inside, you have to have fans and lights and create a different culture for it than
So
your
all of
normal
these things
household.
want some direct sun.
Yeah.
And anything that wants full sun wants at least 6 hours of direct sun.
Yeah.
You can't get that in your house.
And you need airflow and yeah. So
And-
you can try, but
Well, I've tried to-
they'll most likely get buggy.
I've grown a lot of things in my house. But yeah, you'll get the pest insects, you won't get the predator insects.
Yeah.
Then you're just dealing with the pest insects.
So I have some raised beds, but then I've got the traditional garden
Ground.
space. Tilling necessary? How deep?
The
what's
only
your-
reason I would till is if you have compacted soil and
Yeah.
you need to get some
You need
organic
to
matter in it.
loosen it up and yeah.
But once it's getting decent, you don't want to disturb it that much.
Right.
Because your roots get in there, and you have the mycorrhizae, which is your fungal network, and they make a web and they attach to your roots and they help break down nutrients and make it available for the plants.
It's a live organism.
If you go through and you rototill, you're starting that over. You're making it redo that whole network. So if you leave that intact, and especially if you're just chopping things off at soil level and leaving your roots, then you're going to have that whole fungal network intact for your new baby plants, ready to help them along.
I added some aged horse manure midwinter, and so I should probably.
You want to stir that in.
Yeah,
A little bit, maybe on the surface.
Yeah.
You don't need to
but
rototill
you don't
it.
No.
need the big.
And the critters in the soil are going to incorporate it. The water is going to incorporate it. So you can have things like I top dress with the compost. Thank you. I use that as a mulch all the time. It's not like
I do
using
too. Yeah.
wood chips or something. It breaks down much faster, but I want that because I want it to incorporate and feed the
Yeah.
soil. But I'm putting a cup like 2-3 inches after I plant to suppress the weed seeds, so they're not going to take over my plants. But it's going to break down and feed the soil. And being on the surface, all of those like insects and critters are going to come and work it into the soil. The water's going to work it into the soil. So it's not just going to stay on the surface. It's going to mend your soil.
Yes.
I put leaves over my garden for a mulch. Do I take those off and put them in the compost?
Yes, you can do
You
that.
can.
Yeah.
If they're in the way, if you have big leaves that are in the way, if it's small leaves, I leave them.
Well, I mean, they're little, but they're still, they haven't decomposed yet.
I like them. They're going to. They're going to decompose.
So
They're
you
also
just
going
kinda
to
work it
help
into the
cover the
soil.
soil. And generally, soil doesn't like to be naked and bare. It
Yeah.
just gets, if the sun is beating on bare soil, it's killing soil life. So if you have leaves on there, it's protecting your soil.
And they've
So
got a
what-
whole network going on in
So
decomposing
do
too.
I just put that into the soil?
Or leave them on
Or
top.
just leave them on top.
If they're little
Yeah.
leaves, you can just plant
Open.
amongst them. Just make a little space, put your plant, leave it.
Okay, cool.
Along the same line, I had followed some advice on some site, and it said to put down cardboard and compost for the winter to cover the garden with.
You can.
What do you do
The
with
way
the
I've seen-
cardboard?
The reason you're
It
doing
breaks
the
down. The
cardboard,
worms eat it.
Yeah.
Worms love cardboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it encourages worms to come and live and reproduce in your soil.
And it also makes it so weeds don't want to
Yeah.
germinate.
Right.
Mostly I see people doing that when they're wanting to make a garden bed where there are a lot of weeds or turf grass
Okay.
or
This
something.
was kind of a
And
put
so
your
layers
garden bed for the fall.
of the cardboard will smother that, and you put your compost on that, and then
Yeah.
then the worms
Yeah.
will come in and incorporate the cardboard by eating it, pooping it out, and you'll end up with some nice soil. If you don't have anything to put on your soil, if you don't have trees with leaves that fall or anything, that can be a good option. Especially if your soil needs some help and some amendment.
It needs.
Did you say
Yeah.
that after you plant the seeds, you put one of those on top of it?
One of which?
Did you say after you plant seeds, did you put something on top of it, some compost? No?
It's going to depend on the seeds.
Okay.
It depends on what you're doing, yeah.
Some seeds, like I said, the carrots like to be surface sown. Radishes are pretty big. I just plug them in. When I'm doing seed starting in the house, I usually put vermiculite over the top. That's just kind of
That's old fashioned.
It is, but it works.
You're aging
It
yourself.
helps with. I'm not, because I just started doing it the last few years. Stop! You're always older than me. But the vermiculite, partially, it just helps cover but let light through, and it helps protect the seed and keep some humidity around it, while still letting light through. And then it helps keep from having a bunch of algae growing on the top of your soil. So I've started doing that with everything, and most plants seem to like it, but that's more of like an indoor seed starting thing. But outside, you don't really need that.
I have a question or / concern on cardboard. I would be concerned about if it's treated.
Oh, you have to use ones that hasn't been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to use like a wax
No
one.
dye or
Yeah.
any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, most of your cardboard hasn't been treated. Of course, you want to take all that plastic tape off,
Right.
and stuff. And some people are concerned about like printing on there.
Yeah.
I haven't found anything definitive about that. But I don't use like the glossy, heavy colored stuff. I use the brown cardboard.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Do you want to plant
Should
some?
we plant a garden?
Let's plant a garden. What do we want to start with? I want peas.
Do you want a trellis?
I would like a trellis.
Should we use this guy?
Do we want to use that guy? Okay, let's use that guy.
We were discussing the fact that we don't have like any sort of amazing size trellis for this size little guy, but if we do some shorter growing peas, this will work. We also recently got in the pea trellises over here, so if you're doing some of the taller peas in your garden, it's this teepee design is really nice.
Let's do some snaps. So you got snap peas, sugar peas, shelling peas, tendril peas.
So snap peas are the ones that grow the peas inside, but you eat the whole pod.
And they're
The
juicy
snow
and
peas are the
yummy.
ones that stay flat. That's
And you
snow.
can eat the tendrils.
You can't eat the tendrils, and they taste like
Yum, yum,
peas.
yum, yum, yum.
And
There's
she will have snapped on the peas that are out
Yes.
there for sale. Just so you know.
Now, when they start growing, what they do is, and you can't just stand there and watch them and wait for them
You
to do
can.
it. Well, it's how long
If
you
you
want
have
to stand
time.
there. But they spin around and spin around until one of these tendrils, if I don't eat it first, grabs onto something.
You can find a
they're just
time-lapse
doing this.
videos online.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And then they finally find something to grab onto.
So now peas with their little tendrils, they do want something fairly narrow to grab onto. So, something like this. Stop eating the plants.
They're good.
I've made teepees out of bamboo and put twine around it, like jute twine, because I like things that are just going to decompose later. And that was thin enough for them to grab onto, and then I, stuffed all my lettuce in there, and my lettuce grew like crazy because it was with the peas.
We're going to pretend we've already fertilized the soil. We'll have to do that afterwards. I forgot to bring some in that was already open.
Go get it.
Okay, she's going to go get it. So keep in mind, this is going to grow up, and we'll probably put some lettuce around it because that's going to help shade it.
I saw you have a potato back there. Can you talk about
Yes.
that while she's
So potatoes, see these little green bumps? These are the ice. And you want at least 2 to 3 per section. You want to cut them, making sure you do have some on each section. Scab them over like 24 hours. I basically say do it one day, let them stay overnight, and then you can plant them. If you plant them just cut, they can rot. You don't want to layer potatoes on top of potatoes, they can rot. You just want a single layer of potatoes.
We actually use these things here. These are in the lettuce bowls. Now this does have nice instructions on how, what size space you've got and how much to put in there if you're someone who likes to measure. I've been doing this a lot. I'm gonna fertilize the floor. So it is dusty. It's natural.
Don't breathe it in.
So now the azomite, the azomite is kind of a peachy pink color. It's kind of cool.
It's natural. You don't have to measure.
But there are instructions on the container.
All right, now it can go in. All right, we're gonna do some snap peas. Here, take some holes. Look at the little bugs.
I'm going to try to be gentle with their little roots, but they'll repair them if we break them.
They've got little butts.
We're always cooing at the baby plants. We
I
can't help
know. We pet them.
They're so
We
cute.
pat them on the
Look at-
head.
look at
and
those
just
roots.
throw
Oh.
it there. Okay. Oh, missed one. The one back here. All right. Let's do some lettuce. You pick the lettuce.
Well, we got these partials. My leftovers.
So we're gonna plant some Cherokee. Nice crispy one.
While she's at it, I'm going to put my
And
pretty
this is
trap
another
crop on the
place.
corner. Nasturtiums will grow and vine, so I'm going to stick him in the corner.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yes. We'll love you until you're disgusting.
You eat nasturtium leaves?
Not the leaves, but the flowers you can.
Yeah. They're
Spicy.
like, people like to put them in their salads and stuff.
They're like, I am spicy.
And you'll just leave this out and you put it out where it gets rain and it'll be.
We're probably gonna put this out in our veggie department
in the
where
market,
it doesn't
yeah.
get rain, so we'll have
We'll
to bring
have
the
to
rain,
water.
but
But it'll stay a little bit warmer that way.
not really. No. It's undercover, but it's open. So when you see the vegetable starts out there undercover, they're not staying warm, but that can protect them from some
They're
frost.
just out of the frost.
It's
yeah.
basically you're shopping not in the rain.
So you
We're
can-
not doing some big protection. It's just the area we have for you to
Well,
shop
they
out
don't
of the
get
rain.
frost or snow or.
Yeah, these are cool weather crops.
Is it gonna snow anymore?
Probably.
Can you plant these outside right now?
Yes.
Yeah, they've been outside.
Yeah.
They've been outside for
Weeks.
Yeah.
You can see I'm doing them close. Again, I do lettuce close because I use it all the time, and I just use the outer leaves as needed.
If you did something like this, but in a pot, you'd need a pot like as big as the black one.
So I do my planting in 20-gallon pots. 20-gallon and 15-gallon. Those are what I do my plantings in. So if I do lettuce, whether it's that one or this one, I have a whole bunch in here. Again, it grows fast. I use it all the time.
like I've literally
and I
done
keep it down.
this with my peas and my lettuce around it,
Yeah.
and it was great.
Yep.
They were great together.
Okay, what else?
Should we do some kale? It's gonna help
do
grow
some
up and
kale.
shade.
Are you gonna eat kale?
Maybe if you cook it for me.
No, that means I'd have to make some soup.
I have an issue with bitter, and I don't cook.
This one can actually be used in soups or as kale chips. This one is called Dazzling Blue.
I grabbed it because it's pretty.
Yeah,
With
we
our
like to look
reds.
at colors and textures too. We can't help ourselves.
And of course, the kale is going to grow up higher than our lettuce and help shade it. Our peas are going to grow up here, and so eventually, once these are tall, these are too. The lettuce will get more like peekaboos of sun, which is what we're going to want later in the season. We can let them have their tag.
Put it back in when you did the plant.
Would broccoli be another option if you're not a kale person?
Yes.
And you can do anything in a container.
And broccoli gets even like
The only thing I
bigger,
would not
wider
do in
leaves.
a container is corn. Corn is not happy in containers. That needs to be in the
Corn needs to be a pretty good sized patch. It's wind pollinated, so you don't have bees buzzing around. You know, you have the tassel that has the pollen, and then the silks on the corn, and every one of those silks is attached to a kernel. So
I
the
tried
pollen
doing-
needs to get on the silks.
I-
So if you've got like just a couple plants, your pollen might all go over there.
I tried doing various containers to create that. They still were not happy. They're happier. I mean, they produced corn, but they were wussy. And
I mean, it's a huge grass plant. They
you
need
can put
space.
one more. Or you can leave it at that.
Broccoli is notorious for the little bugs that just getting on it. It's good to put around it.
Anything unrelated, and nasturtium as a trap crop.
Did you say crap again?
I might have. I don't know.
So nasturtiums are great.
Nasturtiums are great sacrificial plants, and again, like we have plants, but we also have lots of seeds in the store. Very easy to just plug in and forget, and it'll grow.
What do you want?
What else do we want? We've got lettuce, kale, peas.
Can you put like herbs in with these too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Herbs are great to put in here.
Those pots that you showed us, are those for sale here?
Yes, they're out in the market. Let's do.
Do we want to pull apart like some beets or
Do we
something
want
to show how to
beets?
do that? I think a lot of people see the packs with like a whole bunch of, this is a lot of plants. You're not going to plant it this way.
So keep in mind, we're going to just tell you what we're doing, but there's so many different varieties out there. It's not, you're not committed to just what we're planting. This one is just your traditional Detroit dark red beet.
Question. I know that you say that we can put these out now, and I have some things that are left over from last year. But with the weather being so up and down, if we know it's going to be really cold, like we're snow kind of cold, could we just cover some of that, like with a sheet of
If
plastic?
we're
or
getting down to
something?
15 degrees, you'll probably want to cover it.
Yeah.
If we're getting down to 32 degrees, no.
But for this time of
Yeah,
year, that
that's-
can
they're
be
fine with
unusual,
it.
but you
Because
never
that was
know.
my big-
Yeah. Again, cool weather crops can take a little frost. A hard freeze, like if we actually got down to the teens, which we haven't this season, and
Yeah.
hopefully won't. I mean, most of our nights are around 40, but then we get the couple nights of a dip, and then But
because I'm on the
they
other side of
adjust-
Highway 9
they
where it's a
adjust to
little
that.
different
Like,
than here.
Yeah, it starts
That's,
changing there.
you know, that happens pretty much anywhere, and these plants adjust to that.
Same.
So when you're planting things like this, like the beets, keep in mind of the size they're going to become on spacing. And remember, the tag will let you know.
So she's just kind of teasing these guys apart.
Yeah, you want to be gentle.
And you don't have to have just a single.
No.
You can have like 3 or 4, and as their root bulbs up, they'll push away from each other.
Yeah.
So just leave room for them to do that. You can do that with your onions, your garlic, anything like that. They're going to bulb up and make their own space for themselves.
And if you come up and take a look, you can see where I've done that.
So the beets are on part sun, so you suggest putting those up front more? Cause
They can do part sun.
It also depends on where
It
you
doesn't
end
mean
up
they can't
putting
do full
something
sun.
like this. Yeah.
Well, or shade. I'm thinking because the lettuce is more shade, so.
Well,
Yeah,
it's going
as
to
it
get
gets
that.
warmer.
It'll get that from the kale and the peas too.
But yeah, they can take for sure more sun. You can't eat beet greens. A lot of people don't necessarily, but if you do eat beet greens, you might want to get them a little bit of afternoon shade later in the season so they're more tender. But if you're just doing it for the actual beet part, that's not as necessary.
And when I say that this lettuce doesn't like the sun, I'm talking like summertime sun. It's
Like
still
all
cool
afternoon,
out.
summertime
Yeah,
hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this time of year, they appreciate some sun, which is why we're planting it with these babies where it's going to get sun, and then later when it's warm, they're going to get some relief from that sun.
Yes.
You're saying not like plant that much in that little bed, or is that like appropriate?
We
No,
can
this
still
will be fine.
We can still put something here.
Because these guys, she planted these about, I'd say 5-6 inches apart, so they'll have room to grow their
To
beets.
push themselves around.
And it'll be a big mass of greens, but under there they'll be growing their beets.
And keep in mind, the lettuce is going to stay reduced because I'm going to be consuming it at
She's going to be back there snacking on all of this as she's pricing plants.
Are marigolds good at like nasturtiums?
Yes, we
Or-
just growers don't have them available yet, so I had nothing to show you. I just had
But
nasturtiums.
yeah, they
They're
do
another big sacrifice.
attract aphids to them, but also underground they repel some harmful nematodes. So they do kind of different things.
Do we want to put? Yeah.
And
Do we want
those
to put
are
celery
easy
there?
from seeds, aren't they?
Well, it's going to shade some of that. What
I have
else?
a question on
Let's do one more.
and onions 2 years in a row, and my garden did wonderful, except for my beets and onions. They were about this big. So I don't know.
Is that in the same area as other stuff that was doing well?
Yes.
Plenty of sun?
Plenty of sun.
Was it in the ground or containers or?
Ground. Well, it was in a raised bed.
Okay. Had you amended it?
Yep.
What else did you have in there?
Tomatoes, peppers, beans.
Might have been a tomato.
And I don't know if I planted too late. How late in the season do you get beets and onions?
I prefer doing beets in the cool time.
So maybe I planted them too late. I don't.
Beets and onions
Maybe.
is the best
The
time to get
onions,
a cool
though.
time.
But they never, they never got past. Like,
Did you plant them at the same time as the tomatoes and peppers or earlier?
No.
You planted them earlier?
Huh.
I kept thinking, okay, is my
I wonder if there was something lacking in the soil that those two in particular
That might
wanted.
have been.
everything
Yeah.
else, would get.
Because a lot of them, I mean, those two are completely unrelated.
Yeah.
But they
But see, I see.
they all do like different mixes of nutrients
So they
and
don't
stuff.
need special things different from your regular veggies.
Usually with the beets, just the typical normal amendments, the fertilizer, they do like the agricultural lime and the azomite. It might have needed a sweeter ground, which would have been the lime.
And one of the things that people think about with onions is that like, oh, I'm growing a bulb, I don't need nitrogen, but you need plenty of nitrogen for the greens to then feed that bulb. So you do need to make sure that they have nitrogen as well to grow lots of nice leaves to then get a good bulb and store it, because the bulb is storing the energy that the leaves made.
What do we want to
A friend gave me a sweet potato that had sprouted last year, and I cut it so there were two and planted them. The vegetation was great, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, dug it up, nothing.
Sweet potatoes don't do well here.
We don't have a good climate for sweet potatoes.
Okay.
It's not hot enough and not long enough.
Yeah, not hot long enough.
But they do have beautiful foliage.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Are pretty ornamentals. Yeah.
How much dirt is needed for potatoes?
So with potatoes, you want.
There we go.
I'll use an example of a container.
Okay. Yep.
Because in the ground, it's a whole different story. Because there's already soil underneath them. So you want to put about that much soil down, and then you want to put your. You do what I talked about, cutting and scabbing over, and you want to make them, space the pieces, and I go all the way around so that there's space between the pieces, but it's the whole bottom's covered.
Okay.
And then cover them with some more soil, and as they grow, you want to add more soil. You don't want the potato to stay exposed above the surface of the soil because it could get a toxic green thing to it, and you don't want that.
If you do see potatoes forming at the soil surface, you can mulch over the top of them. So,
Yeah.
as long as it hasn't been too long with them turning green.
Yeah.
But how deep? I mean, you can see the
By the time I'm
potato
done,
bags they sell.
by the time
about
I'm
18
done,
inches.
the soil's up to maybe 4 inches down in the container.
So 6 to 18.
To be honest, there is a difference, and it's not as well labeled as with tomatoes, but there is a difference between determinate and indeterminate. So that is a whole thing we could get into. Like, if people are wanting to do the garbage can thing where they're layering and layering and layering, you have to have an indeterminate to get layers of potatoes.
You're gonna,
So that would be putting them low in there, having them sprout, put some soil, having them grow out the houses. So then you end up with a lot underground that can grow potatoes. But if it's a determinate, you're still only going to get potatoes at the bottom.
Can you give
And what
us
kind
a
of
quick?
soil are you talking about?
Jeff, do we have any-
Well, if you're doing it in a
It
container,
depends.
you'd want a potting soil.
one of these or this. And again, ground would be adding those. So it just
So it's a
depends on
little
how you're
bit more
growing up.
complicated answer. Like, you hear a lot about, people like hilling up potatoes. That's going to work with an indeterminate. It's not going to work with a determinate. And a lot of times it's hard to find that information. I will Google it for someone every once in a while. But if you just...
forget?
Did I forget all the varieties of potatoes?
Are you
Yes.
planting these? What are you doing? with
Yeah,
these?
I planted some radish seeds in amongst the kale because they're going to be shorter.
Can you define indeterminate and determinate?
So indeterminate, it's I'm gonna jump over to tomatoes again. Indeterminate is gonna grow and grow and grow and keep trying to produce and grow and grow.
They can get up to 12 feet.
And you're gonna find a lot of determinates like with Romas and stuff, but there are some like in like the bigger, slicing tomatoes too. A determinate gets to a determined size and kind of puts all of its fruit on at once. So like if you're canning, that's probably something that you want, which you're going to see with like a lot of Romas or whatever. People are going to want a big crop that they can process all at one time. But then a lot of your indeterminates are the ones that get huge and keep putting on more and more tomatoes as the season goes on.
But you can make them somewhat determinate, but we'll go into that when it's time to do tomatoes.
Chop them. So yeah, come back. Are we doing a summer class?
I don't know. I have to look at the schedule.
I actually have 2 questions. One, can artichokes be a good container thing?
No.
And also, the place out in Mount Vernon, I can't think, where they grow all that stuff, they do grow sweet potatoes. And they have ways of doing that here. But they're not a wet.
They probably have a hybrid that works better here.
She talked about all the different types and how they are working and not working.
Yeah.
But they aren't growing.
Yeah, they're not available for us to purchase for here, so they might be getting theirs from. It might be a hybrid that they're getting from someplace special.
And it's from, you don't really plant pieces like potatoes. You have to do the slips and get them rooted and then do it that way.
Yeah, they're not related. Sweet potatoes and our potatoes are not related. Our potatoes are actually related to tomatoes
That's a technical
and peppers.
term.
And sweet potatoes are related to things like morning glory, not our bindweed. here. It's morning glory.
Yes.
Do you do a variety of potatoes in the same container, or do you have to do like this?
No, you
or
can.
You can mix them
Yeah,
up.
because they're all roughly about the same amount of time. They're all kind of like 80, 90 to 110 day. So they're similar enough that
It's
you
just
can
whether
grow and
you
harvest
care
them
which
together.
one you're eating or not.
Right.
You know, and if you want to know the different varieties, then make sure you're getting different ones, like a red and a purple and
Yeah.
a white, and then you're going to know
Then
what you're
you know
eating
what you've
and
got.
if you like it.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I've heard that if you buy a store, like if you buy organic potatoes in the store,
Uh-huh.
and they started to sprout, they're not good for planting because typically they're grown to not do well.
If they're sprouting, you can plant them, but usually they dust them so they don't sprout, so they have a longer
Yeah.
shelf life. But if they're sprouting, they're fine. They will grow.
Do they dust
The key is organic, isn't it?
It depends on the company. So if it's sprouting, they obviously did not dust it. Yeah.
So the onion bulbs I got say that the soil needs to be 50 degrees.
50 to
So
60.
is this too early?
It's about 40 now.
yeah, to me we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
I
think
plant
it's
them.
April.
I would plant them. I mean, I'm selling them to plant now.
Okay.
They just will wait until the
And
temperature
honestly,
gets warm enough.
I don't remember when I looked, if it was a week ago, we were having a warm stint. Our
Yeah.
soil was 50.
Yeah.
Like that top foot of soil fluctuates quite a bit.
Yeah.
And same with potatoes.
Potatoes
Now
now.
or-
Just remember the scabbing over is very important so they don't rot.
Or grab little tiny potatoes, and then you don't have to
Or
cut
the
them.
tiny potatoes.
Or cut it.
We had a gentleman come in a couple weeks ago and he bought a couple hundred potatoes. But he needed the little ones so that he didn't have to do the cutting.
He already took all my little ones.
Any more questions? Well, we do have a sale going this week on raised bed, $4.20, veggie fertilizer as well as the veggie fertilizer from Espoma,
And the tomato and vegetable E.B. Stone one, there is a bigger size that's also on sale.
and then the veggie starts all at 20% off. You just need to let them know at the register that you were in the class.
Is that for the whole week?
That's for the whole week.
Through Friday.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, that way you're not forced to do it all now. Have some time and, you know.
We both have to leave soon and we didn't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
miss it.
Get
Come back.
come back and get your stuff. Yeah.
I recognize you. You'll come talk to us.
I still have problems with celery. It's the second year in a row where I thought I bought the regular celery, and they're the really skinny ones.
Oh, you gotta be careful. Some of them are skinny, some of them
And
are
I
what
don't
you'd
like-
see in the
I-
grocery
I
store.
don't like
Yeah.
them.
The Utah and what's the other one? Tango are the nice big ones.
All right, I'm going to find you next time. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.